Middle Eastern stereotypes. We've all heard them. From taxi drivers with engineering degrees to aunties asking when you're getting married, let's dive into every single negative stereotype about Middle Eastern people. Yes, every single one. This is going to be uncomfortable, controversial, and hopefully funny. Remember, these are stereotypes, not facts. Let's go. The taxi/Uber driver. You get in the car and there's a PhD certificate hanging from the rearview mirror next to evil eye beads and a miniature Quran. The guy behind the wheel has a master's degree in engineering from back home, but now he's driving you to the airport while playing Arabic music so loud you can feel the bass in your chest. The car smells like oud and bukhur. He's constantly on his phone arguing in Arabic and you're convinced it's a fight, but he's literally just ordering groceries from his wife. He knows 47 shortcuts through the city that Google Maps has never heard of. Despite the overqualified immigrant tragedy of it all, he gives the most interesting city tours, remembers your name after one ride, and will share his mom's homemade food with you if you're a regular. The gossip auntie. She knows you got engaged before you tell your own parents. Somehow, she has an intelligence network that spans 3 states and operates faster than CNN. She'll ask you why you're not married yet at your own graduation party. She'll ask when you're having kids at your wedding. She'll ask when you're having a second kid while you're literally in labor with the first one. Every conversation ends with her comparing you to her friend's daughter, who's a doctor, married to a lawyer with 3 perfect children, who all speak Arabic fluently. She judges women for working too much, for not working enough, for getting married too young, for waiting too long, for literally existing. But here's the thing. She actually cares deeply about the community. She brings food when families are struggling, helps arrange marriages that genuinely work out, and carries traditional wisdom that nobody bothered to write down. The corner store owner. He calls every single customer my friend or Habibi, while simultaneously watching them on 6 different security camera monitors like they're all professional shoplifters. He's haggling over everything. He never pays full price for anything in his entire life. He lives above or behind the store and works 18-hour days. His whole family runs the operation. Wife on register, kids stocking shelves after school, cousin handling deliveries. The store smells like a combination of cardboard, exotic spices, and that specific convenience store air freshener scent. He knows everyone's business in the neighborhood because people gossip while buying milk at 2 in the morning. But he also gives credit to struggling families without being asked, stays open during emergencies when corporate stores close, and basically keeps the entire neighborhood running through sheer force of will. The Arab grocery store. Walking in here is like entering another dimension where organization doesn't exist, and time moves differently. Old ladies are arguing over produce prices in 3 different Arabic dialects. The aisles are pure chaos with no logical system. Why are the olives next to the light bulbs? The checkout line is a suggestion, not a rule. Everyone knows everyone, so buying milk takes 2 hours because you stopped to gossip 6 times. They've got products from 15 different countries, all just labeled Middle Eastern, like it's one homogenous place. The music playing from the tinny speakers is some Arabic pop song from 1998. But this is the only place within 50 miles where you can find the specific ingredients for your grandmother's recipes. The owners know your family situation and check on elderly customers, and the prices are way better than Whole Foods selling the same stuff as exotic international foods. The fob fresh off the boat and everything about Western culture confuses him. He barely speaks English, and every interaction is an adventure in miscommunication. He wears cologne like it's protective armor against judgment. He's dressed too formally for every single occasion, full suit at the grocery store on a Tuesday. He lives on instant noodles and sends every dollar back home. He takes photos of absolutely everything to send to his family. And I mean everything. Grocery store aisles, traffic lights, parking meters, literally just photos of American street signs. His relatives back home think he's living in luxury when he's actually sharing a 1-bedroom apartment with 4 other guys and sleeping on a mattress on the floor. But he's incredibly brave for leaving everything familiar behind. He works 2 or 3 jobs without complaining once, and he's building a better future for his entire family through pure determination. The doctor/engineer overachiever. His parents gave him exactly 2 career options, doctor or engineer. That's it. He wanted to be an artist or a musician, but that conversation lasted approximately 8 seconds before his mom had a heart attack at the mere suggestion. Now he works insane hours, never takes vacation, and has 6 different degrees hanging on his wall. He judges other Middle Eastern people who waste their potential on careers that don't make enough money or aren't prestigious enough. He's incredibly successful by every conventional measure, but still gets stopped at airport security every single time without fail. The TSA agent always does the random additional screening on the guy who literally saves lives for a living. Despite all this, he sends half his salary back home to support his extended family. He provides free medical consultations to community members who can't afford health care. And he's actually saved countless lives while dealing with discrimination that would break most people. The Hookah Lounge. This place is basically Bavaria, but for Middle Eastern people, it's what everyone pictures when they think of the culture. Clouds of smoke everywhere. You can barely see 3 feet in front of you. Everyone's yelling over each other, but somehow they can all hear perfectly. Men playing cards or backgammon in the corner. Business deals happening at one table, gossip sessions at another, philosophical debates about absolutely nothing at a third. The menu lists 100 different shisha flavors, but literally everyone orders double apple or mint. The music is Arabic pop from 2007 playing on repeat. It smells like a combination of fruit tobacco, strong coffee, and regret. But it's actually one of the few social spaces where the community can gather, especially single men who are far from their families. There's no alcohol, so it's a safer alternative to bars. And honestly, where else can you sit for 5 hours over one drink without anyone rushing you out? The restaurant owner. He insists his food is authentic while serving fusion nonsense that would make his grandmother disown him. The menu has 47 items listed, but when you order, only 6 are actually available. Everything else is finished today. Sorry, my friend. He plays the same Arabic pop songs from 2003 on repeat. If you don't finish everything on your plate, he takes it personally. You don't like it? What's wrong with it? My mother's recipe. His kids are doing homework at a corner table. The TV is playing Arabic news or music videos. The walls are covered in random decorations from his home country that don't match at all. Tourists get charged more than locals. That's just how it works. But through the back door, he's feeding homeless people for free every single night. The restaurant is the community gathering spot where everyone feels at home. And honestly, his grandmother's recipes that he actually uses are incredible. The whitewashed one. She pretends she barely speaks Arabic even though she grew up speaking it at home. She changed her name from Fatima to Tina or from Muhammad to Mo. She gets visibly uncomfortable when her parents speak Arabic in public and will literally walk faster to get away from them. She doesn't really identify with her Middle Eastern culture and makes sure everyone knows she's basically American. She gets annoyed when people ask where she's really from, but the second there's ethnic food, or when it's trendy to be diverse for a corporate diversity campaign, suddenly she becomes very Middle Eastern. She's dealing with identity crisis and racism that made her feel like she had to choose between 2 worlds. Most of these folks reconnect with their culture later in life and regret the years they spent running from it. Which stereotype hits closest to home? Let me know in the comments. Ramadan evening. For 30 days, everyone becomes extremely religious and then immediately goes back to their regular routine on day 31. The 5 minutes before iftar time is when everyone stares at the clock and becomes irrationally angry at everything. Someone asking a simple question gets their head bitten off because, "I'm fasting, leave me alone." Then the sun sets and suddenly there are tables overflowing with food after spending all day fasting. The amount of food waste during Ramadan is genuinely insane. People who don't fast get judged harshly. What kind of Muslim are you? Even if they have medical reasons, even if it's none of anyone's business. The mosques are packed. Everyone's suddenly wearing their most conservative clothes. But Ramadan is also genuinely beautiful. It's community gathering at its finest. Feeding the poor becomes a priority. Families spend actual quality time together without distractions. And for many people, it's a legitimate spiritual reset that helps them become better humans for the rest of the year. The real estate agent / businessman. He wears so much cologne you can smell him from the parking lot. His shoes are so shiny they're practically mirrors. Everything is a great investment, Habibi. Trust me, even when it's obviously a terrible deal. He drives a leased luxury car and makes sure everyone knows it's the latest model. Every conversation somehow circles back to money, how much he's making, how much he spent, how much his watch costs. His business card says CEO, but it's literally just him and his cousin working out of a serviced office they rent by the hour. He talks about his connections constantly. But here's the reality. He actually helps other immigrants navigate a system designed to exclude them. He provides interest-free loans to community members because charging interest is haram. He creates jobs for new arrivals who can't get hired anywhere else. Behind the flashy exterior, he's building an entire support network. The community center during events, complete and utter chaos from the moment you walk in. Kids are running everywhere, screaming at volumes that shouldn't be humanly possible. Old men are in the corner debating Middle Eastern politics like their opinions will change anything. Women are in the kitchen cooking absolutely massive amounts of food. Nobody follows the schedule. The event invitation says it starts at 6 p.m., but everyone knows the actual start time is 8:30. People still show up at 6 just to complain about waiting. The decorations look like someone raided 3 different party stores from 3 different decades. Half the attendees are arguing about who's supposed to be in charge. But this is where the entire diaspora comes together. This is where traditions get preserved for kids born abroad. This is the support network that catches new immigrants before they fall through the cracks of a society that wasn't built for them. The security guard/bouncer. He's former military from back home and will tell you war stories you absolutely did not ask to hear. He takes his job way too seriously. He's guarding a shopping mall like it's a military base with nuclear codes. He's suspicious of everyone but especially other Middle Eastern people, which is its own kind of internalized tragedy. He stands with his arms crossed looking intimidating even when nothing is happening. He has a visible scar and somehow has 3 completely different stories about how he got it depending on who's asking. He'll stop and question people for the smallest things, but he's also actually prevented real incidents that could have turned dangerous. He looks out for vulnerable people even when it's not technically his job. And he's sending his entire salary to family members living in a refugee camp, which is why he works double shifts without complaint. The overly proud nationalist. Everything is a competition about whose home country is superior. He argues with other Middle Eastern people constantly about whose country has the best food, the most history, the strongest military, the prettiest women. Back home, we have the real hummus, not this garbage. Back home, we have the real shawarma. Back home, everything was better, more authentic, more beautiful. His car's covered in his homeland's flag stickers, to the point where you can barely see the actual car. He named all his kids after historical figures from his country. He refuses to admit his country has any problems whatsoever. Any criticism is immediately taken as a personal attack, but he's preserving cultural knowledge that would otherwise disappear. He's teaching his kids their mother tongue when assimilation pressure is crushing. And usually, this intensity comes from trauma. Leaving your homeland isn't a choice people make lightly, and this pride is a coping mechanism for grief. The university student activist, she makes absolutely everything about Palestine or Yemen or Syria, regardless of what the actual topic is. Professor asks about economics. Somehow it becomes about imperialism. Discussion about literature. Actually, it's about colonialism. She wears a keffiyeh even in summer when it's 95 degrees outside. She lectures everyone about Western intervention and gets visibly frustrated when people don't immediately understand decades of complex geopolitics. Her parents think she's in pre-med. She's actually studying political science and dreading the conversation when they find out. She posts Instagram infographics constantly. She argues with relatives at family gatherings about politics until someone's aunt starts crying. But she's also organizing real community support for refugees. She's educating people on genuinely complex issues that mainstream media ignores. She's volunteering at refugee centers every weekend. Her passion might be exhausting sometimes, but it's coming from a place of genuine care about human suffering. The casual Arab restaurant. The walls are covered in random decorations from the home country that have absolutely no connection to each other. A poster of some historical site next to a carpet next to a hookah pipe that's purely decorative. The TV's playing Arabic news or music videos at a volume that makes conversation difficult. Regulars get special treatment and off-menu items that tourists will never know exist. If you're not a regular, you're definitely getting charged more. The owner's kids are doing homework at a corner table, occasionally getting up to help with orders. The bathroom situation is always an adventure. You have to go through the kitchen and ask for a key that's attached to a comically large wooden spoon. The menu is sticky and has pictures that look nothing like the actual food. But the food itself is genuinely incredible. The portions could feed a family of 8. The owner remembers your order after you've been there twice and treats regulars like extended family members. Airport immigration, visiting home country. The system is broken in ways that would be funny if they weren't so frustrating. Nothing happens without tips, which is just a polite word for bribes. The immigration guards are on a power trip with their own people. It takes 6 hours minimum to get through because half the computers don't work, and nobody seems bothered by this. The air conditioning is broken. Everyone is sweating and miserable. People are yelling at officials who ignore them completely. Someone's aunt brought 17 suitcases and is acting shocked that this is a problem. Everyone suddenly becomes extremely well connected. Do you know who my uncle is? Like name dropping will magically fix bureaucratic nightmares. These are just stereotypes, and yeah, they're reductive and don't capture everyone's experience, but ignoring them doesn't make them disappear. Despite the chaos, it's an emotional homecoming. It's reconnecting with roots. It's a reminder of why your family left, but also what you left behind. The hookah lounge employee. He thinks he's a philosopher. He gives unsolicited life advice to every customer, like he's got it all figured out. He's 23 and talking about the meaning of life to people twice his age. He hits on every female customer with lines he thinks are smooth, but are actually painful to witness. You have beautiful eyes, like the Mediterranean Sea. He knows all the gossip and spreads all the gossip. He's the hub of community information. Ask him about anyone, and he's got a story. He can make perfect smoke rings, and genuinely thinks this is a marketable skill he can put on a resume. He works until 4 a.m. and shows up late to his morning classes. But he's also a surprisingly good listener when people actually need someone to talk to. He helps depressed customers more than he realizes. He creates a safe space for community members to relax and escape their problems for a few hours. The wedding hall. The decorations are so aggressively over the top that it borders on attacking your eyeballs. Every surface is covered in flowers, lights, fabric, and glitter. The music is so deafeningly loud that you genuinely cannot hear the person next to you screaming directly into your ear. There are 300 plus guests minimum because family reputation is at stake. The wedding starts 3 hours late and nobody's surprised. Everyone is judging everyone else's outfits. The aunties are comparing gold jewelry. The uncles are talking business in the corner. Kids have completely taken over the dance floor and are doing moves that would make a professional dancer weep. The whole event costs a minimum of $50,000, often way more. The bride and groom look absolutely exhausted by hour 2, and there are still 4 hours to go. But it's also a genuine celebration of love and family. Multiple generations are together. The food is restaurant quality. These are memories that last a lifetime. The barber, he spends 45 minutes on an edge up that should take 10 minutes maximum. He's gossiping more than the customers, which is saying something. His shop is basically a social club where appointments are meaningless suggestions. You book for 3 p.m., you're getting seen at 4:30 maybe. Everyone's got opinions on everyone's haircut. There's a whole peanut gallery providing commentary. He has a WhatsApp group with 500 people where he posts photos of every single haircut, and everyone argues about the lineup quality like it's a professional sport. The shop smells like aftershave, hair products, and strong coffee. There's always Arabic music or a football match playing, but he also provides free haircuts before Eid and before job interviews for people who can't afford it. He mentors young guys going through rough times. The shop is therapy disguised as grooming, and he's saved more people than he knows. The engagement/marriage negotiation. The families negotiate like it's a business merger between 2 corporations. The bride's family demands gold, lots of gold, plus they want the groom's family to cover the wedding costs. Everyone's asking invasive questions about finances, career prospects, family history, medical history, basically everything except blood type and credit score. The mothers are inspecting the potential daughter-in-law like they're purchasing a horse at auction. They're checking her teeth, her cooking skills, whether she's too skinny or too fat, whether she's educated enough but not too educated. The fathers are discussing dowry amounts and property arrangements. Aunties are whispering about whether the families are compatible in terms of social status. But this tradition actually comes from a place of ensuring financial stability for the couple. The families are supporting young people who are just starting out. These traditions have worked for generations, even if they look bizarre from the outside. The young professional. She works a corporate job, totally assimilated, speaks perfect English, wears Western clothes. Then she goes home to her traditional family and becomes a completely different person. She's living a double life, one version at work, another version at family gatherings. She's dating someone secretly, or maybe she's married to a non-Middle Eastern partner that her family doesn't fully accept. Her parents keep asking when she's going to find a nice boy from the community. She's exhausted from code switching constantly. She has 2 Instagram accounts. One for friends showing her real life, one for family showing the version they want to see. She's stressed about being discovered, but she's successfully bridging 2 worlds that often seem incompatible. She's supporting her family financially while building her own independent life. She's breaking stereotypes through representation in professional spaces where Middle Eastern people are usually invisible. The mosque imam. He makes everything haram. Video games? Haram. Music? Haram. Having fun? Definitely haram. He lectures for 45 minutes when 10 minutes would communicate the same message. He judges everyone's level of piety while overlooking his own issues. The younger generation tunes him out immediately. He talks about hellfire and punishment more than love and mercy. He has a PhD in Islamic studies, but somehow cannot figure out the microphone system. Every single khutbah starts with 5 minutes of ear-splitting feedback screeching while he taps the mic asking, "Is this working?" He's strict about prayer times and dress codes. He gives side-eye to women not wearing hijab, but he also counsels couples for free when their marriages are falling apart. He helps organize funerals and supports families during incredibly difficult times. He's deeply knowledgeable and genuinely caring despite the stern exterior that pushes people away. Friday after Jummah prayer, the men take over the entire parking lot, having conversations and completely blocking everyone who's trying to leave. Political arguments about Middle East conflicts get heated real fast. Someone's defending their home country, someone else is criticizing it. Voices are raising, gestures are getting aggressive. Everyone dressed up for their weekly religious appearance looking proper and pious. Then they go home and do absolutely nothing religious for the rest of the week until next Friday. The imam just preached about unity and love and brotherhood. Everyone's leaving and immediately starting arguments in the parking lot about politics and whose country is worse. But it's also a crucial weekly community gathering. It's networking and building a support system. It's elders mentoring younger guys who need guidance. It's spiritual guidance for people genuinely struggling with faith in life. And honestly, where else do working men have time to connect with their community? The construction worker. He's sending 90% of his salary back home to his family. He lives with 8 other guys in a 2-bedroom apartment sharing 1 bathroom. He works in extreme heat, extreme cold, dangerous conditions. He's treated terribly by employers who know he won't complain because he needs the job desperately. Nobody notices him. Nobody cares about his working conditions. He's invisible labor building the infrastructure everyone uses. He wears designer knockoff sunglasses and takes selfies at construction sites, trying to look successful for family back home who think he's living the dream. He eats the same cheap food every day to save money. He hasn't seen his kids in 3 years, but he works without complaining even once. He's supporting an entire village back home with his labor. He's an incredibly skilled craftsman whose work is criminally undervalued. His sacrifice is keeping families alive. The airport security line. Middle Eastern passengers are visibly anxious before even getting to security. They know what's coming. The random additional screening that happens every single time. Everyone else breezes through security in 15 minutes. Anyone with an Arabic name gets pulled aside for extra inspection. Luggage gets opened and searched thoroughly. Questions about travel purpose, where you're going, why you're going, who you're meeting. Missed flights because security took 2 hours. The anxiety of wondering if this time they'll detain you longer. Young kids watching their parents get treated like criminals and internalizing that something must be wrong with them. But this discrimination led to community organizing for civil rights. Middle Eastern travelers now know their rights and educate each other. Some security staff are actually respectful and efficient. And honestly, this shared experience created solidarity among people who might otherwise have nothing in common. The Cultural Center Director. She only cares about funding and grants. Every single conversation somehow becomes a donation pitch. We're doing amazing work, but we need your support. She plans events that nobody under 40 attends because she's completely out of touch with younger generations. She takes credit for work that volunteers do. She's constantly name-dropping board members and politicians she knows. She speaks 50% English and 50% Arabic in the same sentence, even when everyone in the room speaks perfect English. Her office is covered in photos of her with various community leaders. She sends 17 emails per week about fundraising campaigns. But she's actually connecting isolated immigrants to crucial resources they desperately need. She's fighting discrimination cases pro bono. She's preserving language and culture for the next generation, who might otherwise lose it completely. Her work matters, even if her methods are sometimes insufferable. When someone has a health crisis, 500 people show up to the house unannounced bringing food. Nobody called them, nobody invited them. They just appear like they have a radar for tragedy. Everyone's crying dramatically, even distant relatives who barely know the person. Grief becomes performative. Who can cry the loudest? Who can show the most emotion? Who can be the most devastated? Mountains of food appear out of nowhere. The house fills with people for days. Nobody sleeps. The family can't grieve privately because there are constantly people around. Someone's aunt is wailing in the corner. Someone's uncle is reciting Quran. Kids are running around because nobody's watching them. It's overwhelming and exhausting. And yes, even during funerals, some auntie will still ask when you're getting married because apparently death doesn't stop the marriage interrogation. But look at the incredible support system this creates. No family faces tragedy completely alone. Financial help flows immediately without anyone having to ask. This is the true meaning of collective care in action. The self-aware Middle Eastern person. This is the person who knows all these stereotypes inside and out. They joke about them constantly. They'll make the jokes before you can. But they're also exhausted from explaining their entire culture to every curious stranger who thinks asking invasive questions is friendly. They've mastered the art of laughing at stereotypes while being ready to educate when someone crosses the line from funny to offensive. They exist between worlds constantly. They're code switching like champions. One version at work, another at home, another with friends, another with family. They're loving their heritage while also being willing to critique the problematic parts. They're proud of where they come from, but realistic about the challenges. They're the bridge builders, the translators, the people doing the exhausting work of existing in multiple spaces simultaneously. They're tired, but they keep going because someone has to do this work. Why these stereotypes persist? These stereotypes stick around because they contain tiny fragments of truth mixed with decades of media misrepresentation, post-9/11 Islamophobia, and the fact that Middle Eastern people are simultaneously hypervisible and completely misunderstood. The doctor-engineer pipeline? That's the result of immigrant survival strategy in countries that only value certain professions. The loud talking? Those are cultural communication norms that seem aggressive to people raised in reserved cultures. The community intensity, that's what happens when you maintain collectivist culture in an aggressively individualist society. The religious judgment, that's what happens when identity becomes tied to faith after decades of being othered. Every stereotype has roots in real experiences that got twisted, exaggerated, and weaponized. Understanding where they come from doesn't make them okay, but it makes them less powerful when you can see the mechanisms behind them. So yeah, those are all the negative Middle Eastern stereotypes, explained and unpacked. Some made you laugh, some made you uncomfortable, hopefully some made you think differently. These stereotypes affect real people navigating real discrimination, but they're never the whole story. Let me know which one I got completely wrong in the comments. Subscribe for more uncomfortable conversations about stereotypes.